Okay, so the next element that we're going to look at is called texture. So this is the way a surface feels or looks. And there's two types of textures that we're going to focus on. That's tactile and visual texture. So tactile texture is literally how the surface actually feels. So if you go up and touch anything, whether it looks soft or anything like that, when you go and physically touch it, that is you utilizing your tactile texture. You're going to see if things are feeling soft. Are they bumpy, grainy, porous, squishy, gooey? Whatever it is, you're going to actually get those feelings. You're going to feel them with your fingertips, okay? Um, Whenever we incorporate different tactile textures in a room, what does that look like? Well, that's us putting a big fluffy blanket or a fake fur rug on our carpets and looking at the tall piles of it. That's going to add a bit of a softness to it. It's a kind of a cool statement piece to talk about. It could be that you have the really soft pillows in your room. Maybe you have some type of artwork up on your wall and you can actually go and feel it. And it's got like cool different textures on it and things like that. So that is tactile texture is you physically touching things and then figuring out what adjectives are going to be to describe it. Visual texture is things that you can see, but you can't feel them. So it's basically you're assuming a texture through your eyes. So examples of how that is in homes is that that could be scenic wallpaper. It could be photographs of different things, photographs of like a stone fireplace, as you guys kind of see right here. So if you look at this first photo on the left, you can tell the paper is a bit worn down, that it's really kind of been beaten up a little bit. And if you would actually go and feel that, all those creases will eventually break down the stiffness of that paper over time and actually make that paper extremely soft. On the right hand side, we can look at that stone fireplace right there, and we know that it's probably going to be pretty bumpy and pretty rough. You can run your hands over it, you'll get the different types of feelings and things like that. But at this point, just because you're using the picture, we're going to call it visual texture. So how do we use texture in design? Well, different types of textures are going to communicate different types of emotions in a room. So rough textures can create more casual feelings, whereas smooth textures communicate a bit of like elegance and being fancy. Polished stone and marble shows elegance and strength. And that's because we've seen these different types of famous art pieces that are made out of stone and marble, and we know the amount of work and effort that goes into making these pieces. So our brains will automatically connect that with a sense of strength. We also know that stone and marble is extremely heavy and that you have to be strong in order to move it, or it's going to take multiple strong people to move it. So polished stone and marble is making that connection with our brains that it's going to symbolize strength. Heavy and rough textures can also absorb light, so it makes a room appear a lot smaller, whereas smooth textures can reflect light and it makes a room appear a lot larger. So my advice when it comes to textures is definitely utilize them in your rooms. You want to vary them, but don't get crazy. It's nice to have different ones, but if you have so many different ones in there, number one, your room's going to become chaotic and messy. It's going to feel cluttered, and then there's not going to really have a central design theme in mind. It's going to be very all over the place, like someone doesn't know what they're doing when it comes to designing a room. So use textures, don't go crazy.